Hey YouTube, Rob Lawler with Lawler Artistry. Today we're going to continue on part 4 of the Demon build for Casey's Customs. In our last episode, we got her down to shape and length and all that, and made her look like the Demon Blade. Today we're going to build the guard. It goes right here. And probably get her heat treated and ready to go and make her a real knife. We'll get the forge lit, get that heating up. But if you remember from the first episode, this was the cutoff. This is where the blade was. So this was originally like this length, and this is what we made it out of. I cut this off. This is still part of that spring from the 67 Impala. We're going to flatten her down some more in here, get her to width. It's pretty good right now for the guard up here. And then we'll get her down to length and the same thickness all the way down through, get that cut off, and we'll probably, maybe we'll drift the hole or we'll drill it. I haven't decided which way to go. Maybe we'll drift it. And then we'll get that to shape and final likeness. And so we can get her mated up through the blade, where she's got to go and what she's supposed to look like. And then we'll move on to the handle. So let's get the forge lit and we'll go from there. Okay, our steel's up to heat, and we'll get her under Bradley here and get her knocked down to the size we need. The dies aren't warm yet, so they're sucking the heat out of it pretty quick. Heat it back up and we'll continue on. While the guard steel's heating up, I'm going to do some thermal cycling on this piece to relieve some of the stress that we put in the steel when we forge it out. That way it has a less chance of cracking in the heat treat. So we'll just throw it in, heat it up, take it out. We'll do that 2 or 3 times just to kind of release that stress, because right now all those molecules in the steel are like, we gotta relax them so that they're less likely to break. So we'll throw this in the forge and heat it up. Take this one out and go back to hammering. More hits and we'll be down to the thickness where we want to be, and we'll have plenty for a guard. Back in the forge. Now the blade itself is heated up. Now we're just going to set her aside and let her cool. Just let the air cool it. It's releasing the stress in the steel. You want to do this 2 or 3 times before you do the actual heat treat quench. We're going to set her off to the side and let her cool. The blade itself is cool to the touch now. We're going to put her back in, heat her back up, and let her cool back down. We'll do this probably one more time after this. Okay, we got the guard to width that we like, all pretty close to it, a little bit of room for grinding. We got plenty enough for the length. We got to get a hole in the center of it, figure out how long we want it to be, get it cut off, get a hole, and then start filing and making it fit to the tang right up close to the knife itself, right up to the blade. I've got to do one more thermal cycling on the knife. It will show you something really cool. You can watch it in real time. When I pull the knife out and stick it on the anvil, you can watch the anvil suck the heat right out. You can watch it go from glowing orange to like dull gray in seconds. So we'll do that next because it's kind of cool. Okay, the blade's up to temperature, ready for its final third thermal cycle. Get you pointed down here at the anvil and we'll watch the magic happen. The anvil works like a heat sink. It sucks the heat right out of the steel itself. Okay, we'll let her cool. We'll straighten her back out and then she's ready for the quench. Okay, so our guard is all nice and cool now. We gotta go ahead and get her cut off. I think it's somewhere right in here on this side. That'll be plenty long enough. We can always cut more if we need to. Remember, it's easier to cut off steel than it is to add steel, so always go a little bit longer than your final dimensions, and you can always grind or cut and make it a lot easier than trying to put metal back on. If we do that, we're starting over again, because I don't like welding. Cutting off our length. We'll give her about that much to make sure. And that's what we need. We got our length, got our width. Now we're going to go ahead and clean up all this hard scale that we've created by forging off it. Let's do it right here on the belt grinder. Take a few minutes, clean it up. Don't gotta be perfect yet. And then we'll get our holes marked and drilled, and then we start the filing for a final fit. You see she's already starting to clean up. We'll get rid of the marks and everything like that, but I won't bore you with that. I'll get her cleaned up and we'll be back. And just like that, our piece is cleaned up and ready for our holes. We'll get her marked out, figure out where center is. You know, we want to be center so that everything matches up. You know, you don't have one side of the guard bigger than the other, and you know, it looks clean that way. When we're done, we got to cut in our angles and then make her look like a guard from the TV show. So yeah, we'll get her marked out and then we'll get her drilled. We'll be right back. We got her marked. Now we'll center punch it so that the way the drill doesn't want to wander back and forth and screw up our center mark. So we'll get her marked. And then we'll get back over to the drill press here in a minute, and I'll tell you how I do my drill holes, and then you got to connect them, and so we'll be right back. Okay, we got our guard chucked up in the vise on the drill press here. We're going to go ahead and get those 3 holes drilled. Then we can file and connect them all and get it all straightened out. I won't bore you until we get ready. Okay, we got our 3 holes drilled. Now we need to get rid of all that metal in the middle. Got to make that like a square rectangle piece that the tank can slide into, and then we'll just file and move this more center just a little bit, and then we'll make it so it slides right up on there and nice and tight. Okay, bring you down to the vise in just a minute and show you how we do that. When you're doing these type of small holes, the best thing you can do is find yourself some needle files. These are Harbor Freight cheapies. It'll do the job, but if you're going to do this a lot, and I probably should get a good set, but these will definitely get rid of, this will do the job, but it'd be better if it was a nicer set. You can see we're connecting the holes, we're getting through, and it takes a little while, and then we got to make everything fit nice and tight against that tang. Now the tang tapers a little bit, so you got to work that taper in with your files. You can punch the hole and make tools. I mean, blacksmiths, need a tool, make a tool. You can make a tang out of some scrap steel that's the same as the tang on whatever blade you're working on, and then you can hammer it through and make it all nice and tight. But I prefer this way myself because I can make it real nice with no gaps, and it looks professionally done. So this just takes a while. You got to work at it. You know, it's tedious work, and there I just broke through. So now I can start getting all these little high spots down in here. Turn this over, work on it this way, and then you know, soon we'll have this hole big enough to slide the tang onto. I'm going to work on it, and when we're done, I'll come on back and we can see how good she fits. Okay, we've got those 3 holes lined up, cut out, and filed. So now we got our nice rectangle to fit down over top of the tang, and this way we haven't heat treated yet. You know, we need to be able to bang it around and stuff like that. And if you do that with the blade, you might get it, you might break it. But you can, if you can, it's hard to see because it's in there, but I'll take it out of the vise and you can see. You see how it's not quite all the way down to the shoulders yet? Well, I like to take a hammer and a pipe and drive it down on there. That way it's nice and tight. And if it doesn't make it all the way down, we can take it back off and file some more, hammer it back down on there until she's good and snug and won't go anywhere. And then you can see, you know, where you're hitting once it's sitting down there tight, and then you can, you know, adjust where you need to, and so you get a nice tight fit and fit up. All right. I'll take a random pipe. I mean, it's got to fit over the tang and hit pretty decent. I mean, here's some plumbing pipes. We're getting there. Not quite. We're going to take a little bit more off just because she's pretty tight on there, which I like. I like it nice and tight on there for fit and finish. So we're going to take a little bit more off, and I'll be right back. Okay, took a little bit more off. Try it again, see if we need to take any more or not. Look. Oh, we are so close. A bit more, see what we get. you can see there's just a little itty bitty tiny gap in there. So we got to take a little bit more and hammer back on. Now our tang tapers a little bit this way, so it's, you know, it goes skinnier than fatter. So we have to include that into our grind, into our filing, so that way those shoulders will meet up nice and flat. All right, take a little bit more off, and we'll be right back. Okay, we got the guard fitted up pretty tight. I want to add squish her in a little bit right here so she squishes on the tang. Other than that, it's pretty good fit. Now we gotta make our design on it, get our handle cut, everything pressed up on there, so when we go to heat treat, everything should stay the same, but we'll see. Okay, so we got the guard formed and looking like the piece. In the show, these are tilted back a little bit, so we'll do that right here at the vise. We'll just bend it, you know, bend it into submission, get it where we want it, and then it'll be on to the handle. Okay, we got her bent back just a little bit. Now we can cut the handle and get her drilled out and get her ready for heat treat and get the handle ready. So we'll get the piece of wood or the antler and cut her down to size. Elk antler, we'll get her flattened so she'll meet up nice to the guard, and then we'll go from there. So we found center on this antler. Now it's really hard because antler, being natural material, of course, doesn't grow completely straight up and down or flat across. We got the top where it's going to butt up against the guard pretty flat, but now we got to get a hole drilled and start working our way around. Now remember, our tang tapers, so our drill bit's got to go in a little bit on an angle on each side. So it'll come in like this, and it'll go in like this. And one directly down the center, the length of the tang. So we'll get that marked on the side, the length of the tang, so we know exactly how deep we got to go. Okay, the tang is marked. It's hard to see because of the natural bone, but the marker's on there, and now we go to the drill and drill it out. we got them drilled in, and there's a little quick way of getting some of the stuff out. Use the drill bit. Start in the center and just kind of work your way back and forth like you would a piece of wood. And that'll help get you started on the tang to go in. Now it removes stuff a little at a time. Alright, you broke through. The bottom. Do a quick fit. You can see got a hole started. So let's do a quick fit up on the knife and see where we got to start taking stuff off with the files. Okay, we want to do this with the guard on because we want to butt up against it and hold everything in place. Now she's a little tight, so we got to get it in there and do some more opening of the hole. Check it again. After I pick up my guard that I dropped. Okay, we're getting closer. Every little time we do this, we get farther and farther down there. Now, I'll probably use, it's called a broach. I've made one just to help this along and get down in there and really dig away at it. We got to make sure to square this up as we go on, or else this isn't going to look correct. Remember, in the show, this part of the handle is up. So, alright, we're going to get her fixed on and then we'll be back.